isn't just played on grass. It is built on land, on leverage, and on vision. And today, we are talking about that. We know Goodison Park. For 132 years, Goodison Park has been home to Everton. It has been the cathedral of the Evertonians. It was tight. It was still historic. But one thing that it was damn sure, it was intimidating to whoever came to play at the Goodison Park. But history doesn't pay the modern bills. That's the key thing that we need to know. This is not just a stadium we're talking about. This is real estate warfare. It's a situation where expanding your abilities to both make money and increase the ambition of your club is paramount to modern football as we see it. So this is the first episode of Football is Real Estate. And if you have a better name, let me know how I'm going to call it, but I'm still working out the names right now. But it's one of my two passions put together. If you didn't know, I'm an architectural designer, but I'm also someone that loves football and lives and breathes football. So one thing is for sure, I'm going to talk about both. When they overlap, it's literally like Christmas for me. So today, the first episode, we are going to be talking about Everton's Dickinson Stadium. It was, of course, built, and this was the first season that Everton moved into their new stadium. Now, I'm going to talk about the architecture first, the location, Bramley Moor Dock, historical. We all know that. Now, this is why this breakdown matters. Because we are looking at 52,888 in capacity of a stadium, built on historical docklands that we need to absolutely give respect to, and the regeneration that anchored this project. It was absolutely crucial in the way that they moved with the situation. The waterfront visibility brings an extra layer of brilliance to the location site that Everton chose. 21st century design with industrial heritage that absolutely gives the nod to where and what Liverpool is for Evertonians. And of course, I'm not talking about the club, their rivals. I'm talking about the city. Now, let's look at what these dock settings are. The strategic land acquisition was absolutely crucial for this one. The waterfront property, like I said, in a major UK city is absolutely the right call for them to get a new stadium. And I know football purists are going to not like this take, because when you're playing in a historical stadium like Goodison Park that has seen legends come and go, you do not want to leave it, and you fear the whole toilet bowl kind of situation without a soul. You fear that. That's what Arsenal fans feared when they left Highbury and went to the Emirates. That's what Tottenham fans feared when they left White Hart Lane to their new stadium. That's what they feared. But what we are talking about today is how they were able to reclaim the dock engineering challenges that they were able to successfully go on fixing. We are going to look at how they were able to fix the flood protection in order for them not to see or to get that experience in the future. Talking about the steel frames and the design, and of course, the unique shape of the Dickinson Stadium and why that is actually designed like that. So let's get into the dock engineering. Now, we all know what docks are. It's underwater, it's giving us the access to land, and of course, there's also access to the water. Now, this situation was absolutely done, and I'm not an engineer, so I can't speak deeply into the challenges that comes, but we all know what the challenges are when you're trying to build on water. You have the current, you have the water, you make sure that you are waterproof from the bottom all the way to the top. If you can do that, and only when you can do that can you build a building that is going to last the test of time. And I'm sure that that is one thing that Everton did not cut corners. Now, looking at flood protection, this is where key things absolutely happen, because Andy Layer, the general manager of the Dura product. I think that's the name of it. I had this to say about the project, and I'm getting this from the Football Ground Guide. And when he was speaking about the project, Scott, he says, "We are thrilled that the Duro channel was selected to be installed at the new Everton stadium. It's a fantastic product which is designed to drain surfaces quickly, efficiently, and effectively and safely. Enhances the safety of the performance of the pitch, but also underscores Everton's commitment to sustainability. By integrating such innovative solutions, the club really is setting a benchmark for the environmental responsibility in sports infrastructure." And that right there is brilliant. And of course, you're going to see the brilliance of this particular decision, making it where the stadium is sustainable and you don't have a lot of carbon footprint, is one of the best things that I saw Everton do in this situation. And I have to be glad about that, because someone that is so ingrained into two cultures, two separate, or what feels like separate cultures, which is architecture and football, it is good to see when they overlap, and they overlap in the right way. It's beautiful. And of course, you look at the steel frame design that they chose. This gives nods to the industrial nature of the space, which also then ties into the brick exterior that they chose to still include into the system. It is just a beautifully designed building. Now, the architects that did it, I have to take off my hat to them, because that was well done. The building style, the reintegration of what feels like Evertonians, the addition of what felt like Goodison, traveling its way all the way to Bramwell Park or Bramwell Docks, is such a good way to put things. It's such a good way to not go away from your history, but still to move forward to your future. That's just brilliant, and I have to give them credit for that. Now you have to look at the architectural philosophy that I have already touched on. They were able to retain industrial brick aesthetic. And that right there was truly one of the best things that I saw in terms of decision making from the designers. Of course, you can't build a stadium right now without bringing in some of the modern feel of things. The modern glass and steel structures absolutely was needed in this situation, in order for them to make how steep the building was, in order for them to give an extended sitting situation for the fans, and of course, in order for them to be able to give you a stadium that the sound reverberation absolutely terrifies. That intimidating factor of Goodison Park was still brought to the Dickinson Stadium. I thought it was just brilliant. And of course, and a closed bowl was definitely one of the reasons why the reverberation would absolutely terrify people that go there. And we have already seen how David Moyes and his team have been successful in putting two and two together, getting the team to win, getting the place to be rocking, and getting Evertonians to absolutely be 100% present while their teams are playing. And that has to do with just the right decision making, closing the bowl, making it where sound does not travel outside, but it reverberates through and on the players that are playing. So if you're not used to this, coming into the pitch will feel intimidating, because you can hear every single 50,888 fan, because it's definitely going to be filled up. Every single thing they're saying, you're going to hear it. And that right there is brilliant. But also, they still did not go away from the beauty of having a sight line, because they optimized it in the highest way possible. It was straight up optimization of the sight line, and it was beautiful to see. So what makes this special? The stadium isn't trying to erase Everton's identity. Yes, it is industrial. Yes, it is raw. And yes, it is northern. And that right there is the identity of Evertonians. It looks like it belongs in the city, in my opinion. And that right there is definitely one thing that I know that the designers absolutely made sure of. So why are stadiums now financial weapons for clubs to use? It's truly going to be magnificent for people to even think that having a new stadium in this situation or increasing the capacity is not something that clubs need. Because first things first, when I start mentioning this, I know you are going to agree with me. You're looking at match day revenue explosion. It's absolutely going to be an explosion when you have a new stadium like this. It truly is. Because at Goodison Park, you had 39,000 in capacity, limited hospitality, tight concourses, minimal corporate areas. At Dickinson, we are looking at 53,000 seats, premium hospitality tiers, sponsorship, integration, naming rights, leverage, year-round event capacity. You know how Tottenham Hotspur is always hosting Beyonce at their stadium. They are getting paid every single time she is being hosted. You get me? And so that is what Everton could start getting. You could start hosting situations when the Premier League is not happening, when football is not happening, the stadium is still making money for the club. So let's explain this very clearly for you guys to understand. Modern football isn't won on Saturdays. It truly is not. It's one on the balance sheet, whether you like it or not. If you are able to balance your sheet better than anyone else, and then that leads you to being able to put something on Saturdays and Sundays that would absolutely blow the ambitions of the club. And that is what Everton has started doing. So let's talk numbers. Arsenal's revenue jumped after they moved to the Emirates. Spurs' revenue post Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was insane. Liverpool's main stand expansion, the impact that it showed was insane. And I need you guys to understand how crazy it was. Because what Everton can do now is increase the corporate revenue. That would absolutely be good. Host NFL games, concerts, and events that would not only attract people that are in the UK to come to Liverpool, but it will attract international partnerships. Not just that, we're looking at increased commercial leverage, because now you can talk about the people on your shirt to give you more money because they have more places to put their logos. You can go to Amazon and tell Amazon, come and sponsor us because we are doing an all or nothing. You can go into Europa League games and demand more for TV rights. You can do so much about that situation, because a new stadium doesn't just increase revenue. It changes how serious you look at investors and how serious investors look at you. It truly does. And then you have to also then look at, because we can't talk about a football team without talking about the ambition on the pitch. This is where you have to lock in, you understand? Right here is where you have to lock in, because you start looking at recruitment, signaling them, hey, we are a big squad. Hey, come here. We have the right positions. We have the right infrastructure to host your high standards. Players notice the infrastructure. Agents notice the facilities. Elite managers notice the backing. And they start comparing to other clubs that are going for their players and that the players are looking at going to. Spurs, pre and post stadium, insane. West Ham, post London Stadium, insane. The caliber of players they are able to attract, the conversation that you're even talking about bringing to Tottenham Hotspur, bringing to West Ham, bringing to Arsenal is different the moment they moved into their new stadium. The moment. So let's make it understandable and let's make it sharp for you guys to understand. When a club builds a £750 million stadium, right there is something that everyone takes notice of. You take notice of the backing of that club. Now, of course, we have to also talk about the FFP and the PSR implications of this situation. Revenue flexibility, wage structure, growth, long-term squad planning, all these things are truly there, because FFP, as we know, is all about sustainability. Now you have spent over £750 million on a stadium. Getting that money back is truly going to be the focus of Everton moving forward in the next 2-3 years. But the belief is the moment you have gotten that money back, you can start spending a higher amount because you will start making more money. You will start putting more money in terms of the club itself making more money, and you would not need the owner to put in extra into the team. You won't need that, because the club itself is making more money than you can even imagine. Take for Arsenal at Highbury would not be able to put up £100 million in this new FFP era, a new PSR era for Declan Rice, and in the same breath have a conversation to bring in 65 million to 70 million Victor Gyökeres, and also in the same breath bring in a Kai Havertz for 60 million from Chelsea. Also in the same breath talk about bringing in the likes of Zubimendi, talk about bringing in the likes of Martin Odegaard. That's a lot of money spent because they are not even done spending. You're looking at Mikel Merino, Jurrien Timber. These are all players that moving to the Emirates increased their budget and they were able to get the best out of the best. That right there. Without that move, I believe Arsenal are hamstrung and are struggling. But key part about this situation is Arsenal did go through that 2-3 year period where they could not buy anybody. Now, it was taken on the chin by, if I'm not mistaken, Arsene Wenger, because they were paying back the money that they used to make the stadium. They used to build the stadium. The key part about this situation is that when you move from that situation, then you start seeing the fruits of your labor. Because the moment you have paid that money back, all you go from here is profit upon profit. And that is what FFP and PSR are looking at. And it's different when you start making double the amount of profit that you were making at Goodison Park. Now let's look at the urban regeneration and the societal impact that this stadium would bring to Liverpool and the Evertonians around it. This right here is more than football. This content I'm about to speak on right now is more than football because you're looking at the economical impact. You're looking at over 10,000 plus construction jobs were given to Evertonians. A long-term hospitality jobs are going to be provided in that stadium and for the people around it. The regeneration of the northern part of Liverpool. The tourism boost, because for someone that loves looking at stadiums and dissecting how beautiful they are, I want to come to Everton. I want to come to the Dickinson Stadium and look at it in myself. And if I believe that if I want to go there, I believe that a lot more people want to see the stadium themselves. And that right there is going to be more money into the pockets of the people of Liverpool, into the pockets of Evertonians. Because urban regeneration in that particular part of the town is different. It hits different. It feels different. It feels not cut off from the rest of the UK. Football clubs are civic anchors at this point. And you need to capitalize on those situations, and it brings a sense of togetherness for the Evertonians when everybody is eating because of one decision to build a stadium. You understand? Because the docklands are being revived. The infrastructure upgrades are happening as we speak, because a new stadium cannot come without the city saying, oh, we are going to improve the housing around that city. We are going to improve the parks around that city. We are going to improve the roads around that stadium. It is a given. And if it's not, you need to start demanding that it is. Everybody eats when a stadium is built. Transportation development, because now the city, in doing the roads, will provide buses, will provide transportation for people to get to the stadium and get back home quicker and sooner. Small businesses are going to boom because while people are coming to the stadium, they are going to be spending majority of their time, majority of the year around the stadium. So small businesses are absolutely going to lick their lips on profit because the fish and chip shop next door is going to jump in their profit. The buildings next door in terms of rent will jump in their profits. The place of buying shoes will jump in their profits. The place of people going to shop for foods and stuff that they want to do, even hospitality, because people traveling out of the country or into the country from outside will want to stay closer to the stadium in order for them to have an easy access when they are going to watch games. So small businesses are absolutely going to revel in the bringing of the Dickinson Stadium to Evertonians. And of course, the cultural identity. Goodison is embedded in the community, no doubt about it. But the question is, can the new stadium maintain that intimacy? Now I believe that. But of course, I can't say that without talking about the emotional displacement of people that love Goodison Stadium, the people that grew up with going with their grandparents and their parents to Goodison. The generational shift that we see, the traditional versus progress, I absolutely understand that. I know it crystal clear, and I understand how devastating it will feel for some people. But the truth about it is, when you move a stadium, you're not just moving seats, you're moving a memory. And so it's up to Evertonians and the people that are living and breathing, playing in that stadium to protect the traditions that Evertonians have come to know. That is people playing very well for Everton. That is people fighting for the blue of Liverpool. That's people fighting and winning games. And guess what? The move to bring back David Moyes, in a move like this, the manager that has brought beautiful memories to Evertonians before moving to Manchester, was not such of brilliance in my mind. Because guess what he's doing again? Bringing memories to Evertonians again. Because sometimes to protect tradition, you have to evolve it. It's as crystal clear in my mind for me to see it. You have to revolve it. But evolving it, is nothing. It comes with risk and realities that we need to understand. There's a financial risk to this because debt is something that cripples a lot of clubs. It is crippling the biggest club in England right now with Manchester United. On-field underperformance is definitely a risk because when you do not connect with the fans, because of the fans can't see you up close anymore, that might be a problem. And when you are not performing on the pitch as players, that also is a problem because then people stop coming to watch the games. Then people are not trooping into the Dickinson Stadium as much as they should. And then you have a problem because you do not make the amount of money that you are expected to make. Revenues projections drop. The reality means if you have moved their memories in a holy ground that they hold dear from Goodison Park to the Dickinson Stadium, it has to be a situation where the owners of you playing well and giving them memories in the new stadium is absolutely turned up. The pressure is turned up. See Spurs for an example. It took time to convert that new stadium into trophies. It did. And guess what? They are also now going into problems because they just fired their manager. They just fired Thomas Frank because their team is not playing well. This is a stadium that guarantees revenue. However, it does not guarantee success. And so you absolutely need to make sure that the success on the pitch matches the success of it. And then, of course, you then see the relegation risk factor. If Everton were to be relegated, oh Lord of mercy, the revenue strain on the club will be immense. The sponsorship impact, of course, will be hit so hard because there are some teams that have these sponsorships that if you get relegated, you lose 50% of the revenue that comes from that club. I will give you an example. Manchester United has a clause that if they do not qualify for the Champions League 6 years in a row, we probably are losing 6 million from Adidas deal. 6 million to 16 million, if I'm not mistaken. That right there, for a club of the size of Everton, will be devastating. Plus the pressure of having debt. That would absolutely be crippling. So they need to make sure, and I'm glad that David Moyes is making sure that this team is nowhere close to battling relegation. And in that stability, they can build ambition. This is a bet on preeminence, a bet on Premier League stability. And I'm so glad to see the Everton absolutely winning in that situation. But we have to also talk about the bigger thesis. To zoom out a little bit, bring it home for you guys to understand what this whole thing was talking about. Manchester City built the Etihad ecosystem. Arsenal built the Emirates leverage. Spurs built a multi-purpose entertainment machine. Because if you did not know, Tottenham Hotspur's stadium is not just grass. You can get turf, you can get concrete, you can get metal on the floors if you need to. That is how well they did their stadium. Because they foresaw the likes of Beyonce coming in, the likes of Taylor Swift coming in, the likes of Kendrick Lamar coming in, the likes of Drake coming in. What used to be O2 Arena only is now the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You can utilize the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for whatever you want to utilize it for. Everton has now built belief. Everton has built belief because in this particular situation, football is real estate to the core. Land is leverage, infrastructure is ambition, and that right there is where football is going towards. And so Everton already being ahead of the curve is brilliant. That's the reason why when you look at Manchester United and the new owner in Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the first thing he wanted to do is to get a new stadium. Even though Old Trafford has all the memories and the most memories of any Premier League team right now. The stadium would score goals. It wouldn't make tackles. It wouldn't save penalties. But one thing is for sure. It might change everything.